days only now to go. Both leaders out and about today, making the most of every last minute. To see what they got up to, let's bring in our two travelling journos. We'll start with Jonathan Lee. He was with the opposition leader in Perth. He's there now. Welcome, Jono. I know my viewers are happy to see you back on the campaign trail. I don't suspect Mr Albanese is, though. You tend to put him under a bit of pressure with the questions. What did the Labor leader get up to today? What seats did he visit? And I'm interested on this point because I thought he knocked off early. I might have got that wrong. But this seems to be a risk management strategy to me. How'd you go?
Peter, very, very early, I would think. We flew in from Brisbane last night here to Perth, Western Australia, and today's campaigning was just 8:30 this morning until about midday. We did three quick events, and I'll take you through them very, very briefly. The first one was an announcement for a surge centre at a nearby hospital, and it's worth pointing out in all of this, there's 3 marginal seats. Swan Pearson has like coalition controlled. They want them, they want to flip them. They're the 3 seats Labor targeted today, albeit briefly. The first one was for a $75 million pledge for a surge facility at a hospital where we did the press conference. From there, we went to a childcare centre, no announcement, but nice pictures at the childcare centre. And then we went to a pre-polling booth in the seat of Perth, in the seat of Pearce, where Mr Albanese was only there with the media for the better part of 3 or 4 minutes, it seems.
Don't you love it? Don't you love it how these so-called opposition or the actual government leaders in the last week before the election, they fly out across Australia to other states, and they go to marginal seats. They go to the marginal seats because they're the ones they want to flip around, and they promise this, they promise that. As you heard, they promise some bullshit then, certain amount of money for whatever, hospitals, whatever. They make all these promises in these marginal seats, and that's what all this shit is about. They just go to the marginal seats to see if they could sway the electors to, obviously take those seats so they can, win the government. So it's pitiful how they make all these promises, not just for everyone throughout Australia, but mostly in these marginal seats.
We turned up on the bus, he was there, and then he took off. He was heckled very briefly by a vaccination campaigner, but that was midday, and then all of a sudden the day's campaigning was over. I asked, were there any other events that he was going to do today? We're not told if there is anything, or if he's just brought back to the hotel to put the queue in the rack, to rest, to knock off early. We don't know, but it's a comparatively different strategy.
Nice green screen here.
It's also important to note at today's press conference, he faced a number of questions on debt and deficit, notably the fact that it's said that his deficit will be larger over the forward estimates over the next 4 years. 3 times he was asked, would it be larger, as is expected? And he won't answer the question. Here's that exchange, or part of the exchange.
Those investments will lead to higher productivity. And those investments... Well, you get to ask a question, then I get to answer it.
This guy is an absolute buffoon.
You get to ask the question, I get to answer it. The question is...
Look at these idiots standing behind him with their mask on, will you?
The question is, will there be high deficits over the forward estimates?
The answer to that is...
Well, the answer to that is, I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Responsible policy.
Peter,
they ramble up with bullshit, don't they?
When got out of a car, people seemed to flock to him. He was a master at using the moment and using the people around him. Even during Malcolm Turnbull's time, I remember when he'd go out publicly, so many people at the height of his popularity just wanted photos with him. I genuinely can't say if Mr Albanese is popular on the ground. It seems at times he is, but you just don't know. So it's hard to work out if he will be successful here. We know Mark McGowan is popular, but is Mr Albanese? I can't give you that answer.
I tell you, this stuff is very telling in the last days of a campaign. We'll stay across that, in particular, the costings issue. We'll talk about that a bit later in the show. But the reaction there when he gets a bit snippy with Greg Brown asking that question from the Australian tells me that he's under pressure. I know leaders are getting multiple polling every single day, the last few days of the campaign. I think he's reading the polling and he's concerned. That's my take. Thank you, Jonathan Lee. But Andrew Crothers was with the Prime Minister's campaign today. Have a listen.
Scott Morrison campaigned in Queensland today, hitting the hustings in 2 key seats on opposite ends of the state.
There we go again.
Beginning in the Ipswich seat of Blair, held by Labor since 2007. It's currently on a margin of 1.2%.
Marginal seats.
Running a realtor in Blair, providing the...
Hang on, let's just go back there. We've got Brisbane here and we've got Ipswich. I just want to do a Google search for Ipswich. Okay, let's type in Ipswich with a T. And sorry, we don't get any Ipswich at all in Australia, but we do have Ipswich without the T in Queensland. So could that possibly be it? There's Ipswich here. Let's go see if we can see Brisbane. Well. There's Brisbane up here and Ipswich down here. Brisbane and Ipswich without the T. So how they can get this spelling wrong is beyond me for a major media network. They can't even spell Ipswich correctly. But anyway, but as I said, once again, they target the marginal seats. Let's just finish off this shit video.
It's currently on a margin of 1.2%. The Liberals running a realtor in Blair, providing the perfect setting to spruik Scott Morrison's new housing policy.
Oh, look at this, like he really fucking cares about anything.
Australian dream, as Scott Morrison hopes to realise his own of securing a second term. The plan to allow first home buyers to extract up to 40% of their super at a maximum of $50,000.
Promises.
A potential vote winner. It's been backed by the Master Builders Association, but met with scathing criticism elsewhere. One economist even labelling it the worst housing policy put forward by a government or aspiring
I'm the Prime Minister, I care for you
years.
people.
Concerned it will push
Couldn't give
prices
a
up.
fuck.
And Minister Jane Hume conceding as much. No such concession from the Prime Minister, insisting another plan to extend tax breaks, encouraging older Australians to downsize, will put downward pressure.
Oh, tax
on
breaks
housing
all of a
markets.
sudden.
Scott Morrison finished his day in
All
Queensland
these
here in Cairns in the seat of Light.
Promises a week before the election. Don't you just love it? As soon as the election's over, fuck you.
Currently on a margin of 4.6%. The margin is tight, but it's the seat they need to hang on to.
They need this
Scott
marginal
Morrison's
seat.
unveiling of that housing policy so late in the campaign shifts the focus back to something he's more comfortable to talk about: economic management.
Just go back to the Sky News presenter here, Peter Credlin. Yeah, another good-looking bimbo. Everyone thinks she's genuine. Nah, she's just another piece of garbage, piece of media garbage. Definitely pushing for the liberal side of politics. That's why they're attacking each way elbow here and making out scumos a man. Yeah, don't trust this piece of garbage, Credlin. Don't trust her one bit.